Hey, hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another Tooth Talk with your dentist on thedentaire.com. And I'm Dr. Rekha. Thank you all so much for joining me in the previous talk. I did talk about yellow or discolored teeth and how your dentist can help you remedy or get rid of your discolored teeth. Thank you all so much for your queries and your questions, and our panel of dentists did answer your questions. And if you still have any doubts regarding that topic or anything else, please do write to us below in the comments section and we will get back to you on that. And also don't forget to click on the notifications button so you get notified the next time I go live. So thank you all today for joining me. And today I'll be sharing with you some information about broken teeth, chipped teeth, or fractured teeth as they are called. So most of us would have encountered at some point in time our teeth being chipped off. Now, why does the tooth chip off? There are various reasons why our teeth can be broken. One thing is if we bite into any hard food like candies or refrigerated chocolate, or try to bite on ice, or try to open bottles with bottle caps with our teeth. These could be some reasons why our teeth can chip off. The other reason is clenching of teeth, or bruxism as we call it. When there is grinding of teeth that happens on a regular basis, your teeth can become brittle and chip off. Now, another reason is physical trauma or contact sports. People who are involved in contact sports, who play rugged games like say football or maybe even cricket sometimes, if you're not wearing all the safety gears, in such situations, or in case like people who play hockey. So in such situations, what happens is that because of collision or a hit, there can be fracture of teeth that happens. Now, another reason why a tooth could fracture is if there is a very old filling in the mouth, or if there is a decayed tooth in the mouth which is weakened because of the decay process. The tooth becomes weak and it can break or chip off. Now, very broadly, the types of tooth fracture, or the types in which, or the ways in which the tooth can chip off, can be classified as something that involves only the tooth, or a fracture that involves the gums also, and at times the fracture involves the supporting jaws or the bones. So in today's talk, I will be sharing with you information about a tooth that is broken, which involves only your tooth. So because this is such a vast subject and there's so much information in this, I will confine today's talk to fractures that involve your teeth. Now, what are the types of fractures that can happen? One thing is what we call as an enamel infarction, which is just very fine lines or that you see on the enamel. These are absolutely harmless ones. Other than the cosmetic part of it, there could not be any huge damage these would do. The other type of actual fracture or chipping off of the tooth would happen, which involves only the enamel. Sometimes there can be a bigger portion of the tooth that chips off, which involves both your enamel and the inner portion of the tooth, which is called the dentin. So the next type is when the bigger portion of the tooth breaks off, and it involves the nerves, which is in the center of the tooth. And at times what can happen is the entire tooth all along, including the root of the tooth, can also be broken down. If the impact is too hard, the root of the tooth can also get fractured. So then what is the type of treatment that would be available for a tooth that is chipped off? For a simple chipping off of the enamel, your dentist will probably do a very simple composite or a tooth colored filling and restore your tooth to the normal shape and size and structure. Now, suppose it involves the second layer of the tooth, which is called the dentin. And if it is not a very severe damage, then again your dentist can do a filling. If it is the front tooth, it can be a tooth colored filling. If it is the tooth which is at the back, which is the molar, it is either a composite filling or a silver filling that would be done. Now, what happens when the fracture of the tooth involves the nerve or the pulp tissue? So this is when what happens is an infection can set into the tooth, and your dentist may have to do what we call as a root canal treatment to save the tooth, and then possibly put a crown or a cap onto the tooth. Now, if the root of the tooth is fractured, if the root is broken, then most of the time what happens is this kind of a tooth cannot be saved by your dentist, and you may have to undergo an extraction or the removal of the tooth. Now, how would you know that your tooth is fractured or it is cracked? Now, sometimes it is very easy for us to find out which tooth is involved if it is a very simple fracture of the tooth. Sometimes what we call as when we call it as a cracked tooth syndrome, where there is a crack within the tooth but it is not visible, where the tooth is not split into two halves or the tooth is not chipped off completely and there are no visible signs of any tooth breakage, then it may become a little difficult even for the dentist to identify the offending tooth. But based on your symptoms, how you feel about the sensations, we will be able to come to a diagnosis and be able to detect the tooth. Now, what would you feel if there is a fractured tooth or a cracked tooth in your mouth? You could have some increased sensitivity to both hot and cold foods, and you could have pain on chewing or biting on any food items. And sometimes what happens is there could be some pain on releasing the biting force, and there could be a pain that is on and off, and there could also be sometimes some swelling around the gums that involves the fractured or the broken tooth. So if there are any of these symptoms that you have, please visit your dentist. And if you've had a recent history of trauma, that is an injury, a fall or a hit or something, you please report to your dentist immediately so that they will be able to find the offending tooth and do the remedy accordingly. Now, what will happen if you neglect or ignore a chipped off or a broken tooth? Now, a tooth that is broken and is not treated on time can lead to what we call as a pulpal infection, or can affect your nerves and cause an infection. And if a small portion of the tooth that is chipped off is left untreated, it could also develop into a decay and further damage the tooth, involving the pulp, which will again cause an infection in the tooth. At times, these teeth cannot be saved if it is almost in the last stages of infection. Now, how can you prevent a tooth from getting chipped off? Of course, an accident or a fall is something nobody would know. You can't predict that it's going to happen. So if there is an accident or a fall, it is absolutely very difficult to say. But there are a lot of times, like when you play sports or games, you can wear what you call as a sports mouth guard, which will prevent any damage to your teeth, which will prevent the impact hitting your teeth directly. Now, people who are in the habit of night grinding, or what we call as bruxism, what you can do is you can talk to your dentist and they will provide you with a night guard which you can wear during the night when you go to sleep, and this will in a way take off the load of the grinding forces from your tooth. And of course, the moment you have a history of fall or an injury and you have any of the symptoms coming in, please visit your dentist immediately. Get a checkup done. In all possibility, your dentist may do a checkup x-ray to find out if there are any associated damages happening to the gums, and he'll be able to tell you how you can go about remedying it. Now, what are the treatment options? Like I said, one thing is your fillings. If it's in the initial stages, that can be done. Or sometimes in the front tooth, if the damage is very minimal, or if there are some very thin fractured lines, then your dentist can possibly do what you call as veneers. Veneers are very thin, chip-like, shell-like structures that are fabricated in the lab, and these are generally made of either ceramic or maybe even resin composite material. These the tooth will be prepared by your dentist, and impression will be taken, sent to the lab. The lab will fabricate either the veneer or the crown, and your dentist will cement it or fit it onto your tooth and make your tooth look absolutely beautiful. So this is about basically a fracture or chipped off teeth. And of course, like I said before, there is a lot more which involves fractured teeth, which I will possibly take up in another talk and tell you more about it. And I just hope this was helpful for you. And if you have any doubts or concerns regarding this particular topic, or if you have any other doubts regarding any other topic, please do write to us and let us know. Leave your comments below in the comment section, and we will get back to you, and if possible, prepare a talk on that particular topic so everybody is benefited. And once again, thank you all so much for joining in with me today. Do click on the like button if you liked my talk, and do share your comments, and of course please do invite your friends also to join us so that they're also benefited and learn more about dental health. Thank you all so much.